But I wanted to give you a few words, a few thoughts, first of all, about the economy and budget. You know, did the Chancellor play a rather weak hand rather well? He told us that the budget was fiscally neutral. So was it really just a question of him rearranging some deck chairs? Now, the three main things that I think are of note are the reduction in the mainstream corporation tax rate to 20%, the employer's national insurance allowance, and also the increase in personal allowance to £10,000. Now, we're going to hear from our panel more about that later. But he's keeping a tight fiscal policy still, which he should do. But I think, are we stuck in a rut? The deficit seems pretty flat to me. It's predicted at £114 billion this year and £108 billion next year. And these are higher than his autumn statement that we saw last year. One thing that really shocked me, though, was the sensitivity of this of the deficit to GDP. Now, just putting this in perspective, 1% GDP growth is equivalent to £15 billion a year on the deficit. So if GDP doesn't grow as expected, that's additional borrowing of £15 billion in year one and £30 billion cumulatively in year two, therefore leaving the deficit static or even growing. And just for the record, the OBR downgraded its GDP growth forecast for 2013 to just 0.6%. So, my opinion is that a lot of this is going to be hinged on the euro crisis. But with Cyprus on the news every day, that's going to be a big ask. Just as a matter of point, I've heard that the Cypriot Tourist Board have got a new slogan. Come to Cyprus, every day is a bank holiday. And one of my big predictions for this year is actually that wheelbarrow manufacturers are going to do really well in the next couple of weeks, carting that cash out of those Cypriot banks. As I've said, it's our 60th anniversary year. So in 1953, what happened? There was floods, tidal surges, and people being killed through these floods. You know, just as we've had bad and extreme weather last year. The bank base rate was 4% compared to 0.5% at the moment. But what I wanted to do is just celebrate our birthday by cutting our cake. We've got two cakes here. I'm going to ask Chris Swallow. I'm going to ask Richard over there to come up and cut our cakes, please. Now, I want this doing in a little bit of a way, and I want to probably have this half of the room guess what the income tax rate was in 1953. And Richard, on this side of the room, please get some call out from the audience about what the income tax rate was in that side. Now, the person who gets it right, you can eat the cake. And I know you like cake, Chris. So can we have some ideas about what the income tax rates were in 1953, please? 35%. Richard, what do you reckon? Don't look at my notes. That's blatant. That is blatant cheating. Did you see that then?
No. Is it higher or lower? We didn't like that. We'll have above 35 then.
You're going 35, you're going what? Oh, come on, Richard, make it a bit more exciting than that. You cut
31 and a half.
You cut the cake then. 31.5% slice then, please, Mr. Barnett. You just made it very difficult for yourself.
I'm going to put it there.
Congratulations, well done. Well done. So take the cake. You take the cake. The actual rate was 45%. 45%.
Shillings in the pound.
Absolutely. 45%. So at the moment we've got George Osborne as our Chancellor of the Exchequer, but back then we had Rab Butler. And I looked at the Finance Act in 1953 and came up with a couple of interesting clauses. In particular, the first clause was the continuation of duties on hops and beer was continued at the same rate until 1957. So he's looking after the drinkers. Clause 5 was reduction of mechanically propelled vehicle duty in respect of certain motorcycles. And clause 7, get my slides up, and clause 7 was the exemption of cricket matches from entertainment duty. Matches played after the 26th of April 1953. I think there's a bit of an old world charm about that one.
Well, we've got a seat.
So, from what I can see in 1953, it was all about going to the cricket on a motorcycle and having a few beers. Good times. So, on that note, I'm going to hand you over to Dave first to talk about something a little bit more relevant to today. So, over to Dave.